I love reading. That's all you need to know. And for this video, I feel like it's just gonna be a random assortment of moments in my life. So mainly me reading books, and I feel like it'll just show what an average reading like will be for me. For starters, reading is my main hobby. I don't really have many other hobbies outside of reading, so I just have more free time to dedicate to reading. Second, I am a fast reader typically, so I would say I finish maybe 2 books a week on average, sometimes more, sometimes less. I'm also a mood reader, so if I'm not in the mood of reading, I won't read anything, but when I am in the mood of reading, I will read a lot. I do feel like I'm getting sick, and I hope this doesn't foreshadow anything about the rest of this vlog. So I feel pretty crummy right now. And when I feel crummy, I just want to read. So I'm gonna continue on reading the book I'm reading right now, which is The Ashes in the Star-Cursed King. It's the second book in a series, the first one being The Serpent and the Wings of Night. I finished that last week. I really liked it, rated it 4.25 stars. If you want to know more of my in-depth thoughts about it, check out my last video. But yeah, reading the sequel right now. I'm almost done with it. According to my reading time, I have like an hour and 30 minutes left, so I feel like I'll finish that book tonight. And then I have to grab it. Then I'm also reading The Secret History by Donna Tartt. This is one of the books in my fall TBR. I'm not far in it at all. I'm on page 8, so I literally just started the book. But so far I've been enjoying it. If you didn't know, The Secret History, I feel like is the essence of a dark academia novel. I would consider it a modern classic now, but it's about a group of students who attend this New England college, and the group is a bit pretentious, a bit eccentric, and things kind of just devolve from there. I don't know a ton about this book, and I want to keep it that way, so when things do happen, I'm just more surprised by it. But yeah, I'm also fully annotating this book, so like highlighting stuff, tabbing stuff. I don't anticipate myself to finish this book really fast. I'm intentionally slow reading this book, and I'll probably spend the rest of the month and parts of October finishing and reading this book. When I'm reading this book, I will be picking up other books too and starting and reading them because I love to read multiple books at a time. I don't know. And my plans tonight are to finish The Ashes in the Star-Cursed King and then maybe read some more of The Secret History and or maybe start a whole nother book. Who knows? So to further get into the fall mood, I did paint my nails. They're I don't know, like a berry red color, and they feel just very fall to me, and I love them. Okay, I just finished what was it called? The Ashes in the Star-Cursed King by Carissa broadbent, and I have some thoughts. Also, sorry for my voice. I feel like I'm progressively getting sicker and I sound more sick. So sorry for that if you find it annoying. But like I said, just finished the book. I overall really liked it. I think I'm gonna rate it 4 stars. I felt like the beginning was really interesting and exciting, purely based on the events that happened in the first book or at the end of the first book. So I was really excited to start the sequel. I feel like the beginning and the middle of the sequel were really good and interesting. The end, in my opinion, kind of fell a little bit more flat. I don't know really why necessarily, but just like all the events that unfolded were anticlimactic. It might be because I thought the villains in the sequel were not really fleshed out, so I don't know, they just weren't very memorable, and I often forgot their names throughout the book while I was reading it. But overall, really liked it. I liked Aurea. I loved the character growth that she had throughout the sequel. I really enjoyed Aurea and Vincent's complex relationship. A lot of that came up in the sequel as well. I feel like those are easily the best parts of the whole book. Overall, I liked Rain and Aurea together as well. I will say something that's different about the sequel than the first book is that the sequel has dual POV chapters, which the first book was purely in Aurea's perspective. And while I enjoyed getting Rain's perspective in the sequel because I felt like we learned so much about his backstory, and that was really missing in the first book, so I felt like I got to know him more like as a character and as a person, and just like why he acts the way that he does based on his past experiences. My only complaint with the dual POV chapters is I feel like Aurea and Rain didn't have unique character voices. Just the way that each of their chapters were written, it was just very similar, and I feel like they were pretty interchangeable. Like if I didn't read their character's name at the start or the beginning of the chapter, then I wouldn't really know like whose character perspective I was in because they were not very distinguishable. Overall, I did enjoy the sequel. I think I like the first book better than the sequel just because the first book had, I don't know, just a stronger plot line, and the ending was just so good. It had the wow factor that I was looking for. I'll definitely be continuing on with the series as the books come out. I think the author has it so far planned as a 5-book series, and I think the 3 remaining books will cover different characters or just be in the perspective of different characters. I'll have to read the novella of this series, and I think I'll read it soon, but I don't know if I'll get into it right away just because I know the novella is about different characters and a different plot that's like not really related to the first 2 books but kind of is related in some ways. So I'm not like jumping to read the novella right now, but I will read it soon. Hello from my reading spot, which is just my bed and one of these back pillows. I don't know what you call them, but I got it at Bed Bath & Beyond many years ago. You already saw it. I started The Prisoner's Throne by Holly Black. This is the 2nd book in the Stolen Heir duology, the spin-off of the Cruel Prince series, and I read exactly 100 pages last night. Wait, no, I read more. Okay, I read 121 pages last night. I left on chapter 10, which was kind of a mini cliffhanger for me to end on. If you know what happens at the end of chapter 9, then you know why it's a mini cliffhanger. But one thing that I love about Holly Black books in particular is I feel like I could just read like 100 pages or like half the book in one sitting because her writing style is just so easy to read. It flows together, and you tend to get really immersed in like the world and the setting and just like all the plot lines that are happening. Hence why I read 121 pages last night, basically in one sitting. I will say, not that I'm gonna give any spoilers about this book, but I will say even if I did right now, I don't know if I could summarize the last 121 pages that I read, because I read the book. I feel like I've absorbed the information, but I don't know if I can regurgitate it back to you. It's like one of those things where a lot of things happen, but also not a lot of things happen at the same time too. I decided to keep on reading because where I left off was kind of shocking, and I feel like it's just gonna get even better, more good. One of my favorite tropes happened. I love it every single time it happens. It just is so good. It adds so much to the story and to the tension of the relationship. I will say this is the book where you get Jude and Carden scenes. In The Stolen Heir, they were mentioned, but they weren't really in any of the scenes. And I'm glad to know that Carden is just Carden and still basically defers to everything Jude says and wants. So love that for them. But yeah, I'm gonna read more of The Prisoner's Throne tonight. Maybe I'll finish it, maybe I won't. We'll see. And I'm still reading The Secret History, but like I mentioned, I'm reading it really slowly. So like I read 8 more pages last night, so I'm on page 16, which, woo, exciting. I'm gonna do a mini how I annotate my books tour and just what I've annotated so far of The Secret History. Starting off with the type of highlighters that I use. They're from the brand Lohaster. I got them off Amazon. I'll try to link them down below in the description. The one thing that I like about these highlighters is just that the colors aren't super pigmented. So when you highlight something, you can still read the text underneath, and I feel like it's not very visually distracting. And then these are the tabs that I'm using for The Secret History. I kind of picked out colors that matched the vibe of the book. I also got these off of Amazon. I'll try to link them down in the description if you're interested in them. But on to what I've annotated so far for The Secret History. I haven't figured out my annotation key yet. I feel like I'm going to figure out as I'm reading the book. But typically when I annotate books, I have a color for characters, a color for the plot, and a color for the writing or quotes that I enjoy. So far I'm following that similar process for The Secret History. And as you can see, I highlighted and tabbed some passages and quotes from The Secret History so far. I think this tan color is going to be for more the writing and prose that I enjoyed. And then I'm also using this red color. So far I'm using it for the main character, Richard, but I think I might expand it to include all the characters once I get further along in the book. And I want to do a color for some of the themes of the book as well, but I feel like I have to read the book more to figure out what the themes are. So far I've been highlighting things that are related to ancient Greek and just the idea of fate, because that has come up quite a few times in the book so far. But yeah, I'm reading a couple of pages more at a time and then going back and just highlighting and or tabbing what I've read so far. But yeah, that's how I annotate books, and my annotation so far at The Secret History, it's not a lot. I'm literally on page 16, but I feel like it's gonna be so cool once I finish the book. I'm reading The Prisoner's Throne right now, and one of the characters asks Ren, basically, are you sure you want to be with Oak? He can be a fool. And Oak responds, the question is whether she will have me be her fool. And Ren says, I'm certain. I love lines like this, they're so good. My man Oak, he is so obsessed. Like, he's constantly putting himself in situations or making situations happen so he can be closer to Ren. He could not be more into Ren right now. He can show he cares about her. Are you kidding me? Oh my god. Also, he craves her smile, the shine of her eyes when she's trying to hold back laughter. I am losing my mind. Also, I tried to take a video of me and my cat, but he looks so angry. Oh my god. I do not know how people wear slickbacks, either ponytails or buns, because I feel like I look like an egg. On other people, it just looks so cute. Anyways, last night I finished The Prisoner's Throne by Holly Black. I actually wasn't planning on completing it last night. I think I had like 150 pages to read last night, but things started picking up and I couldn't put it down. I like The Prisoner's Throne. I actually liked it more than The Stolen Heir. I rated The Stolen Heir 3.75 stars. I'm giving this 4 stars. Not a lot of people, but there's definitely a group of people, especially on Goodreads, just from reading all of the reviews on The Stolen Heir and The Prisoner's Throne, that did not like this duology at all. and I think some of the criticisms of this duology are fair, and I feel like some of the criticisms are maybe a little less fair, because I feel like a lot of the critiques of The Stolen Heir was that there was no Jude and Cardan in the book, which, fair. I also love Jude and Cardan. I love the Cool Prince trilogy. It's one of my favorite fantasy series, but I feel like this duology, it's not Jude and Cardan, and it was never meant to be about Jude and Cardan. So I feel like Holly Black definitely heard the critiques of The Stolen Heir, because in The Prisoner's Throne, there's so much more Jude and Cardan scenes. Don't get me wrong, I still really enjoyed them in this book, but I feel like I wouldn't critique this duology if they were never in these books, because it's not about them. Anyways, I like The Prisoner's Throne. I love how it picked up right off where The Stolen Heir ended. One thing that's different about this book compared to The Stolen Heir is actually in Oak's perspective, and it makes sense why it's in his perspective, but I really enjoyed learning more about him as a character and just his character motivations and how he thought about the events that happened to him as a child and how he reacts to them as a young adult. Also, he's such a flirt in this book. It's so good. There's so many good lines in this book as well. Hence all of my previous reactions while I was reading this book. Oh my god. Also, my cat, he wants out. 1 second. Okay. Wait, what was I saying? Something about Oak being a flirt? Yeah. Anyways, I really liked Oak in this book. That was such a hard sentence for me to say. I swear I had to say it like 20 times for it to sound right. But I will say Ren's character in this book was sort of lacking. I felt like she just existed in this book. It kind of makes sense once you read it, but also I wish she had more time in the book, especially because The Stolen Heir was in her perspective and she just wasn't that big of a deal in this book. At least her as an individual, she wasn't a big deal. I definitely like the plot better in The Prisoner's Throne than in The Stolen Heir. However, I will say in The Prisoner's Throne, a lot of things are just brought up all at once that don't entirely make a ton of sense. And I feel like at the end of this book, Holly Black does tie together all of those loose ends, but still it felt like a little bit convoluted, a little bit messy, and I'm not sure if I understood every single character's motivation in this book. Overall, really liked it. It felt like a side quest in the Jude Cardan universe, which I really enjoyed. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. If you want to check me out elsewhere, I'm also on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Goodreads. It's all the same account handle, MaddieReads6. And hopefully you stick around and watch other things on my channel. I would greatly appreciate it. See you next time.